Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Soo, and I'm with Efuture. Efuture is a publishing company based in Korea, and we export to more than 20 countries all around the world. So thank you very much for joining me today. And thank you, ER Foundation, for giving me an opportunity to present. I'll be introducing our comic readers today. Okay, so let's look at the title. Comic readers in the EFL Classroom? Yes, of course, that's the answer. Okay, so let's look at the topic for today. So today's topics, number 1, why comics? Number 2, why graded comic readers? And number 3, why Efuture graded comic readers? And number 4, how to use comic readers. Okay, so I'll be talking about these 4 things today. Okay, do you like reading comics? Yes? Okay, that's good. Yes. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Let's look at this slide. So number 1, why comics? Okay, why comics for children? Why? Okay, this is a survey result from the US. And so they wanted to find out what sort of reading materials the children like. Okay, what do they like reading? So if you look at number 1, well, they looked at different factors like gender, achievement, attitude, and income. Okay, but if you look across all this, number 1 is scary stories. I don't know why, but children like scary stories. Do you like reading scary stories? I don't really like reading scary stories, but it seems that children like reading scary stories. What's number 2? Comics. Yes, isn't it interesting? Yeah, they like reading comics. So it doesn't really matter, if it's gender or achievement, attitude or income, they all like reading comics. Comics are like number 2. Okay, number 3 sort of varies, right? Sports, comics, sports magazines, animals, sports magazines. Okay, so children love reading comics. Okay. Let's look at my next slide. Okay, so let's do some comparison, right? How do you feel when you see something like this, right? How would your students feel if they look something like this, right? And you ask them to read this. Okay, let's read a few sentences. So did you see that sign, kids? Summer Fun Ranch Camp is only 5 kilometers away. You'll have fun. You'll swim, play sports, hike, and ride horses. Okay, compare this with this. Which would you prefer to read? This or this? And how about your children, your students? I'm sure they will prefer to read this, right? Yeah, it's the same thing, right? Let's read a few sentences here. Did you see that sign, kids? Summer Fun Ranch Camp is only 5 kilometers away. And then you'll see all these pictures, right? Same story, but this one with lots of pictures. Okay, you can see the characters, you can see their faces, you can see their facial expressions, right? You can guess their feelings. These pictures, illustrations tell a lot of things, right? And it looks very interesting. Lots of things are happening here, right? There's a car there, and these 2 children are in the car. Do they look happy? Not really, right? Who's driving? Dad is driving and mom is talking, right? So you can sort of understand the story based on the illustration, right? You can see what's going on. Okay, so this is why children prefer to read comics, right? It looks much more interesting, and It's fun, right? Comics are words and pictures. You can do anything with words and pictures, right? So let's go on to number 2. Why graded comic readers? Okay, now we all know that children love reading comics, and some of you love reading comics. Okay, then why graded comic readers? Have you ever seen graded comic readers before? You don't see many graded comic readers, right? Most of the comic readers for children are like, they are written for native children. Okay, so let's look at this one, Batman, right? The sentences are very long and it includes difficult words, and maybe the grammar structure is too difficult for EFL students, right? That's why we want to use graded comic readers for EFL children, right? These comics written for native children are too difficult, right? Although it looks very interesting, right? They know Batman and, it looks very interesting, but when they try to read the sentences, then, it'll be just too difficult, okay? So graded comic readers are suitable for EFL learners. Graded means controlled, right? Controlled vocabulary and controlled grammar. So the graded comic readers from Efuture, we follow CFR, young YLE levels. So we follow YLE curriculum, right? They have vocabulary list and they have the grammar structure list in YLE. So we follow that. So that's one way of controlling vocabulary, right? And also we control the grammar. If you look at this one, this is a chart from Magic Adventures. And let's look at the tense. Okay, if you look at the first box, that's tense, present, present progressive, future, will, and future, be, going to, and past. So we have all these different tense. And if you look at level 1 of Magic Adventures, we have present, present progressive, and future will. But we don't have be, going to, we don't have the past tense, right? But if you look at level 3, we have all these tenses. Okay, so as the level goes up, the grammar level goes up as well. Okay, so there will be more grammar structures in the higher level. Okay, so when children start to learn the comic readers, right, they'll probably start from level 1. Okay, so they don't have to deal with more difficult grammar structures. Okay, so suitable for EFL learners, graded comic readers. By the way, if you have any questions, you can leave the questions in the chat box, or we can have a short Q&A session at the end of this presentation. Okay. So let's look at the educational value of graded comic readers. Some people say that, comics, it doesn't have any educational value. It's just for fun, right? It's nothing. It's just stories. And children like reading comics, but they don't learn anything from comics. Well, some people feel that way. But actually, there are lots of positive things about graded comic readers. Let's look at the first one. Fun and engaging stories. Okay, so we have, our stories are very fun and it's very engaging for children, and that will increase motivation. Okay, motivation is one of the problems for EFL learners, right? Sometimes they don't want to read things. They don't want to read any books. They don't have the motivation, right? But if they start to read fun stories, right, that will increase their motivation. And comic readers are full of illustrations, right? And the sentences are in manageable chunks, right? We don't have long sentences, long or complex sentences. We try to have short, simple sentences, right? So children find that, oh, they can read these sentences, they can understand the story, and that will develop their confidence in reading. Okay, so that's a very important educational value, right? They feel confident because they understand the story and they want to read more. Okay. Now, next one is opportunities for practicing 4 skills, right? It's mainly for reading, but also you can use these readers for other skills, right? You can do listening. We have the audio, so you can do listening, and you can do role play, so you can practice speaking, right? Role play is a good speaking fluency activity. And you can also do writing because we provide the activities, right, for all these different skills. So it's not only reading, but you can also practice other skills, like writing, speaking, listening. Okay, so these are the educational value of graded comic readers. And all these factors will help students become successful language learners. And students will develop a positive association with reading, right? A positive association with reading. That's the goal of our readers. Okay, so here, I think someone is trying to draw something on the screen. Could you please stop drawing on the screen? I don't know how to delete this. Does anyone know?
There is.
Yeah, I found it. Yes, yeah, I deleted all the drawings. So please stop drawing on the screen. Okay. Right, so this is the goal of Efuture graded readers. Okay, and we have the numbers from 1 to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so let's start from number 1. Okay, so number 1, students begins to read a story. So they pick up a reader and they begin to read a story. Let's go to number 2. What happens? They open the book, they start to read the story, and they are interested in the story. Wow, it's got a lot of pictures, right? And it looks very interesting. And oh, I understand the story. Okay, so they become interested in the story, right? And number 3, students understand the content because the vocabulary is graded, grammar is graded, and it's age-appropriate themes. So they understand the story. Wow, it's not difficult. I can read these sentences, right? I understand the story. And go to number 4. Student feels confident and comfortable with the story, right? They feel confident. Wow, I finished reading this book, right? I feel good. I understand the story. I read the story in English, right? And then go to number 5. Student builds a positive association with reading, right? So they want to read more. I like this story. I like reading English books. I want to read more. And then they'll go to number 1 again. They'll pick up another story and they start to read. So this is a cycle, right? So hopefully, we want to create this cycle. We want to create this feeling of positive association, right? So this is the goal of Efuture readers. So students read again and again and read more and more, right? This is very, very important for EFL students. Okay, so are you okay so far? Are you following me? Yes? Okay,
yes.
Okay, that's good. Okay, and I have a question.
Very nice, thank you.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. That's very good. Okay, we do have ebooks for this, and I'll be giving you some more information about ebooks. We have Efuture e-library, and I'll come back to that later. Okay, so why Efuture graded readers, right? Why? I have never seen any graded comic readers from other publishers. Have you? I have never seen one. I've seen some other comic series for science. I think it was published from Singapore. But anyway, that was not graded readers. That was the comic series for science. That was the only comic series that I've ever seen. And yeah, so we decided to make comic readers because of all these reasons that I talked about before, right? We wanted to have something fun, something interesting for our children, and something that they can enjoy reading. Okay, so that was the reason why we developed this series. And we got some awards, right? We are the winners. We got this Language Learner Literature Award from ER Foundation, right? Yay! So we have 3 comic series. We have Magic Adventures, School Adventures, and Vera the Alien Hunter. So these are 3 different series. And when we developed Magic Adventures, we didn't know about this Language Learner Literature Award. So we didn't submit our books. So sadly, we don't have the award for Magic Adventures. But then when we developed School Adventures, we found out about this award. So we submitted our books and we are the winner, right? And same thing for Vera the Alien Hunter. Okay, so these are proven, right? These are good readers. We got the award from ER Foundation. Yay! Okay. Yeah, thank you. So these are the features of Efuture graded comic readers. Okay, so let's look at, we won't be reading all this, right? Let's look at the titles. Number 1, leveled. Okay, so our readers are leveled and graded. Okay, so students can find the right book for their reading level. Okay, so we graded vocabulary and grammar. And vocabulary and grammar structure gradually become more difficult, right? Just little by little, so that students feel comfortable while they are reading at their own pace. Okay, number 2, educational. I talked about these educational values before, right? So our stories are age appropriate, which is very important, right? We try to avoid all those violent things, right? If you look at comics, Batman, right? There's a lot of violence, and we try to avoid that. We want to make it age appropriate and meaningful, and we use high frequency words and expressions, right? And we also include the activities for students to personalize, right? And to promote discussion, so that that will improve students' critical thinking skills and discussion skills. Okay, and could you turn off your microphone? I think somebody's microphone is on. Huang Wei, could you turn off your microphone? We are hearing all this noise. Okay, and number 3, enjoyable stories. This is very, very important, right? Enjoyable stories. Students will read the stories if they enjoy, right? I mean, it's same for us, right? If you start to read something, right? If it's not interesting, then you'll just close your book and you'll stop reading it, right? If you're reading for fun, right? Of course, you want to read something enjoyable, right? So stories are very interesting, engaging, and students can relate themselves to the stories. Okay, so they'll find it very interesting. And number 4, achievable, right? This is also very, very important for EFL learners. Okay, so our stories are designed to be achievable for students. Okay, so stories are short and simple, and we provide lots of pictures, okay, to help understand the story. And reading is broken down into manageable chunks. Okay, so students can feel confident when they read the stories. Okay, so these are the features of Efuture graded comic readers. And let's look at some of the judges' comment. I think this is very important because it tells all about our readers, right? Keeps the reader turning the pages to see what will happen next, right? So you read the story, you want to read more, you want to find out what happens in the next page, right? You keep turning the pages, right? That's very important, isn't it, right? Fast-paced and interesting with a touch of humor. Yes, humor is very, very important. So we always try to include, something fun, something funny in the story. Wonderful, eye-catching cartoon-style illustrations. Yes, and interesting and innovative comic reader format. The multiple illustrations over each spread help the reader to understand the story better. Written with appropriate and careful leveling. Focuses on specific verb tenses, forms, and sentence patterns that are repeated with very clear and easy examples of their usage. Okay, so sentence patterns are there and they are repeated. So the students will read again and again. They will meet this pattern again and again in the story, right? So they'll learn it. And this is the comment from the reviewers. Yes.
Sorry, times is almost over now. So we probably have to stop you here in the main session. And of course, yes, there is the breakout room, especially for your talk. So you can move on there, and people who are interested in talking more and ask questions, they can go to the Soo Kim's breakout room.
Yeah, how do I actually go to the breakout room?
Okay, that's a great question. Thank you. And there is a 3 dot. If you don't see the breakout room icon on the bottom of the screen, you probably have 3 dots at the bottom, at the right bottom of your screen. And if you click there, you'll see breakout room. And if you click that, there's a window popping up, I think. And the people who are not assigned, and if you scroll down, you have all the rooms for the presenters, and you have please find your own name and Soo Kim, and that's how you